I think that's so true, and I think one of the things that's really important in Success in the City, and you're, I think, a personality much like mine. You know, we're very creative, but A-type and driven, and you know, like you say, you go into logistics mode. But the one thing we failed to give ourselves, and I think you were one of the hard ones to get into this, but once you got it, was that you need other women in your life.
Yeah.
You need friends in your life. And I think when we move into entrepreneurship and CEO world and all this other stuff, we do. And we don't fill our own personal trough. And when I started Success in the City, I was CEO of an IT company, and I found myself in this vacuum. I was girlfriend bankrupt, and I didn't realize it was just after one crisis after the next crisis that I needed friends, but I needed an advisory team too. I mean, one thing in all my studies is I learned that women, we need to have feedback. We need to hear our own voice fed back to us. Right. You know, it's like when we talk to a girlfriend and she goes, you know, you're just expressing yourself and she's shaking her head no subtly, and you go, okay, that didn't sound right. I've got to come back and reform it. Has that changed your life in many ways?
It has. I didn't realize I was missing it. I mean, you had said you realized you were bankrupt and you went out and started this organization and created it. I didn't realize I was missing it until I found this organization. And then I saw what I was missing. And it's been an amazing, it's huge impact on my life and on me personally, and I have been more aware of taking time for myself and thinking things through and having people I can actually lean on. You know, it's something that's always been very hard for me to do, is to learn to lean on other people. I've always tried to, I can do this myself, I can do it, you know, and it's okay to lean on somebody as you go through stuff. I agree with
you. It is very hard to say, hey, I need support. I need somebody here. I need to talk. I need to validate, whatever it is. I need to cry. I mean, all those things are really, really important. I think we kind of, as we move into leadership roles, say, I can't. In fact, I have to look stronger than a man. You know, I'll take a bullet for the team, you know. And it's okay to say, wait a minute, this is hard.
Yeah.
Or I'm frustrated, and it certainly helped me get through. I could not have done what I've done in my life if it had not been for the support of you and the amazing women. But of course, you are A-type because you ended up being our chairman of the board, and driving all that and
That's just because I couldn't run fast enough.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, no, you've been absolutely incredible in helping us get that figured out and doing the branding and telling our story.
Thank you.
So, and you've been chairman of a Chamber of Commerce.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I couldn't run fast enough.
Yeah. So are you kind of backing off some of those roles for the time being, or what are you doing?
I keep telling myself I'm going to, but I end up not. I am one of those people that when I get involved in something, I get involved. You know, I mean, I can't just sit on the fringe and show up to an event once a year and say, I'm a member.
Yeah.
I have to dive in. And unfortunately, I tend to dive in when something is going wrong and has to be fixed, and therefore requires 10 times as much time as if I was just going to be involved. I don't know what it is. I'm a magnet for those kinds of things. So I get involved, I dive in, I fix things. I try and, you know, apply red thinking to situations where they couldn't necessarily afford to go out and hire a company like mine. I come in and do it volunteer and try and get a bunch of people who are on the board to think the same way and wrap themselves around it. And, you know, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, but on the other hand, it's also a lot of fun. And I have made some of my best friends in situations like that, where we are standing shoulder to shoulder and we're, you know, fighting fires together, and we realize personality-wise what we're all like. It actually turns into work. I mean, it's not why I do it, but it can turn into work because people see you doing it.
That's a brilliant strategy. I mean, it is okay. I realize that, you know, volunteerism can be a demand on your time, but it really positions you into unique opportunities. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's good to say yes. It's good to volunteer and have a place at the table to help influence where things are going.
Absolutely.
One thing I know about you is you're a great negotiator, especially when things are not going well, where you've had to go in and negotiate with vendors or something like that. And how did you acquire that skill? I think for women, negotiating for pay, for a deal or whatever is very challenging. How did you develop that skill? That's one thing I really admire about you, your skill to negotiate.
You know, it's funny, I've never thought I was a good negotiator, and as you're describing what it is that you've seen, it's kind of cool. Yeah. I don't think necessarily that I look at it as being a negotiator. I mean, I'm one of those people who hates to go in and, you you know,
barter for
a yeah, I hate that. I just want to go in, I want to see the price, I want to make yes or no.
Because you were rude and mean, and you hadn't met anybody yet. It's like,
I hate doing that.
I know. It's like, I know you're going to steal from us. I'm not even going to know how you are.
I think it's more that I look at these things like I look at any of the business challenges. You know, it's like, well, I want this, and you want that, let's figure out how we can do some red thinking here and make it work for both of us.
Oh,
so I
good.
think that's really where it comes from.
What I see for you is, number one, is that you're really candid and you don't come in and negotiating at the table and go, I'm going to hide my cards. These are the facts.
Right.
These are the options. Where can we meet?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a skill, but I think for a lot of women, that's a really tough thing to do. You know, in your job, how do you come to the table for a potential client and ask for the deal? How do you do that?
I'm very good at, I'm very good. I'm just going to say I'm very bad at asking for the deal, but I'm very good at coming to the table and having the conversation. My job when I come to that table is to educate the client or potential client as to what the options are for them, be it with us or with somebody else. Here are all of the things you could do. Here are the ones I think are best for you. Here's what they're going to cost. Here's how you go about it. These are the questions you should ask as you interview the 3, 4, 5, 6 companies coming in behind me, and these are the things you should look for because this is important to you and how you're going to solve this problem. And if they choose to go with us, it's because we clicked, we had a connection, a good personality fit, that I seem to listen and understand their problem, that they think that we have the skills to be able to solve their problem. And that is what closes the deal for us. I can go in and be like, hey, I'll give you a set of steak knives, sign right here. You know, it's not going to do it. You know,
right.
I don't want to force somebody into the situation. Either we're a good fit or we're not. So it's really, it's not a matter of being a good negotiator as much as it's a matter of putting myself in situations where I'm with the right people. I try and weed out the wrong fit before I even get to the table, and it makes it easier.
Do you find that being passionate about whatever project you're working on has a big part of that too?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do dive in. I wrap in. My clients, their companies become my companies. You know, and I get a little tingle of pride when I see the logo on the side of a building or I see it go by on a truck, and I'm like, yeah, that's us.
And you get it. And you told the story. So, have you ever had to fire a bad client?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think everybody who's been an entrepreneur has had to fire somebody.
Yeah,
and it's gotten easier. I really think it's a good thing to do.
It is, absolutely. I mean, every year they say you should actually fire your bottom 10%. I haven't quite gotten that good yet.
Yeah.
But I do fire the ones that are a bad fit. And it's scary, and it's you get all anxious about doing it, and you start to triple think yourself. Wait a minute, that money could pay the mortgage next month.
Right,
Maybe I
right.
should just do the project and buckle down and take the bullet, as you've said. But I find that it has such an impact on the personality within the firm, on the air, on the attitude, and my staff. It's not fair to subject them to somebody that is a bad fit for us and continue trying to cram, the round
Right.
peg, square hole, or whatever it is. It's not square peg, round hole. It's not worth it.
Right.
It really isn't. I'd rather skip a paycheck and eat ramen noodles for a month than deal with an asshole. Sorry.
Right.
I just,
I
life's
always
too
find
short.
that the most demanding clients pay the least and suck up the
Absolutely.
biggest amount of assets. And I think we
Absolutely.
tend as women to be very friendly and polite, and we don't. And
Yeah.
I think one of the things we have to do is let those people go. We don't have to keep them on the table. And I always
Right.
find that when you let somebody that does not the fit for you, and vice versa, you make space for opportunity to come in for an opportunity.
And they end up being happier too because they
Right.
find someone who is a good fit for them. So they can't look at it as a bad thing to get fired.
So let me ask you, what are the key things today every company should have and should be doing? What do you think is like the most important things to do?
They need to know their differentiator. They need to know why they are the firm that everyone else should choose. Why are they better than everyone they compete against? Why are they different? What is it that sets them apart from every Tom, Dick, and Harry who does what they do?
And the biggest thing with that is that startups come in and say, no, we don't compete with anybody.
Right.
And you compete with somebody, and
Always.
it's important. So you make sure that people know, if you say you don't have a competitor, you're not going to be in business. You've got
Right.
to find your competition.
One of my favorite exercises, actually, especially with companies like that, is we'll do some fact-finding in the beginning of a differentiation messaging project for a client or branding project. And we'll go out and we'll interview everybody within the company and the key decision makers, managers, staff, a couple different levels within the company, and who are your competitors, and how do you think you compete against them? Well, then we'll do the same thing with their clients. Who were their competitors? Who else did you look at for this project?
Interesting.
And it's really kind of amazing. You take these two circles of lists, and they overlap maybe 10%. They think your competitors are completely different than you think.
your
And so when
competitors
you're messaging, you need to be messaging against who they think you're competing against. Otherwise, it's empty. It's falling on deaf ears.
That's
you need to
interesting.
compete in the right
So you
marketplace.
got to ask questions.
Absolutely.
So if you've got a new startup, number one is logo. True? You
Yes.
Think, what's the first thing you think we got to get nailed down first?
Well,
Walking in the door, what's
the
very first thing?
differentiator, absolutely.
Okay,
But the
so
first visual piece, a logo.
Okay, so the first visual, but the first thing you got to do is say what sets me apart from everybody.
Exactly. Who
And
am I
not
selling
only-
to and why
not who-
should they get it from
yeah,
me?
And not just who I and my team think we're competing
Right.
against, but who my customers
Right.
think we're competing against. That's really interesting. I never knew that. Okay, so differentiation.
Yes.
Number two,
Logo.
logo. Okay.
Logo. And
Okay.
you know, it could just be a clean type mark. If you can't afford to go through a whole process, or if you can go online and do one of the crowdsourcing websites, and there are ways to get it done. I obviously am a little biased, but I'd love if you did it the professional right way and hired a firm like mine to do it. But it's not always required. It depends on your situation. And then I personally think the next one is a website. I mean, I don't buy anything without going on the web first.
So true.
So even if you're not selling on the web, if it's not how you're getting your clients, you need it for a credibility check, because the first thing they're going to do is go look at that before they call you.
It used to be go look in the yellow pages, and now it's a website.
Oh yeah.
First thing you do, and it's how you tell your story. So how important is it you get that next piece right, the website?
I think it's vital. Again, I'm biased. This is what I do for a living, but it's incredibly important that someone can go to the site, they understand you're a viable business, they know what you do, they know who you do it for, and they know how to get in touch with you.
So, and
Seems pretty simple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
and it's
simple.
amazing how many companies don't do that. Or they say, oh, I only sell face-to-face, I don't need a website. It's like, yeah, but if somebody's going to refer you to someone else, they're going to go looking for a website before they call you to know that you're real.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things I do. If I'm considering somebody, I look at a website. What about search engine ranking? Do you do consulting on that or anything like that?
We do. I don't keep that on staff, and I tend to partner with firms to pull that off. I think it is important. That being said, I have clients where I recommend they just do the basic organic SEO, so search engine optimization. When you code your site, code it cleanly, code it beautifully, tag everything the way it should be tagged, and go.
So how
know?
do you, as a consumer, know that you've been coded properly? How would you even begin to know I've got good, clean coding?
You deal with a professional. I think it's, unless you want to spend a lot of time staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning and reading one of those little Internet for Dummies books, why? You know, your time should be spent doing what you do best within your company, and you hire out the rest. Go find somebody who does this
Really
well
good.
and have them do it. It's worth it. It's worth every penny you pay for it.
So what's the next thing? What places do you think you should have? You've got your website, you've got your brand. So what do you use for building your community out there on the web? Are you part of LinkedIn? Are you part of Facebook? Do you use that as part of your strategy?
Absolutely. And my personal strategy is to be very open on those platforms. I'm not very worried about the whole privacy issue and locking down, you know, which circle gets to see which posting. You know what? I'm not going to put it out there unless I want everyone to see it.
Right.
You know, and that's very much who I am and who my company is. And so my Facebook page and my Twitter accounts and, you know, the company's Facebook page and anything I do out on LinkedIn, any messaging that I'm involved in, it's all stuff that I'm perfectly happy with absolutely everybody reading.
You know, it's one of the things, the strategies I use is number one is that on Facebook or LinkedIn, or you will never see me post like a personal comment, you know, like, I went out last night and I had too much to drink, and boy, I woke up in a strange place, you know. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. It's like saying, I obviously have no professional credibility, you know.
Well, it's
so-
amazing how many young people don't understand that as an
Right.
employer, I
And
go
it
look
never
at those
goes
things.
away. It never goes
Yeah.
away. I mean, young people have got to, but I also think, so I think you need to have a strategy about
Yes.
how you
Oh, I think you
communicate,
should.
You know,
I think
and
you
it's
should.
kind of like, yeah, I mean, I post like, yeah, last night went to dinner and, you know, but I'm really trying to be an influencer. I'm trying to use my comments and things I share to influence the marketplace, not to be about me.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I think is really important. And the reason I ask you that, how is important, like, you brand your Twitter page? How important is that you brand your Facebook page? And, you know, setting up how you do that. And do you help companies get there?